Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now, today we got a funny video. We're going to be talking about an interesting conversation I seen, an interesting debate that was inspired by Amber Rose's appearance at the Republican National Convention. I guess because Amber Rose has a quote unquote black son and she was publicly endorsing Donald Trump, a lot of people had said this is why it's important to have a black mother, right? Because a white mother is not capable of instilling, black pride and black knowledge into the black offspring. Now, keep in mind, I don't see Amber Rose as a white woman. I see her clearly as a multiracial woman, a mixed woman. But regardless, she did inspire an interesting debate that I seen happening. And it was about the difference between being raised with a white mother and a black mother, right? They said that, for example, biracials with black mothers are more in tune with their blackness, their black history, their black, ancestry. And they said biracials with white mothers are not going to be in tune with their, black ancestry as much as the biracial with the black mother. Now, y'all know my opinion on the topic. Y'all know my thoughts on this subject already. That entire talking point is nothing more than propaganda. But anyways, let's jump into it, man. Let's jump into the article first before we jump into the debate. Apparently, Amber Rose said this. Take a look up on the screen. The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. Now that kind of debunks that whole talking point out the gate, but let's continue. She said, I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse, and I believed the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, no, he's not. And when I insisted, he said, prove it. Anyways, let's get into it, man. Let's jump into some of the reactions on social media. Take a look up on the screen. This person said, the worst thing you can do is give your black sons white mothers. Now, keep in mind, Amber Rose herself has a white father, but that's neither here nor there. Let's continue. This person said, my issue with white mothers raising black children is that they often do not consider black history important. They see it as something from the past that we should move on from, which turns our experiences into nothing more than myths and ghosts. This person said, I thought Amber Rose's mother is black. Isn't her dad white? Either way, the black parent has failed here. Now, that's a sensible reaction, right? Obviously, this is a logical reaction. But I feel like this topic has a lot of people trying to push an agenda, push some propaganda, because logically, it shouldn't be about whether they have a white mother or a white father. Because if the black parent was really in tune with their blackness, if they really, had knowledge of self, as they say, then there wouldn't be a white parent in the equation altogether. That's my position, right? So that's my position. If there's a white father or a white mother, obviously, preserving the culture and passing down the history and the culture wasn't that important to you to begin with in the first place, So anyway, let's continue. This person said, black women instill blackness. Black men run away from it. Could you believe this thing got over 800 likes? Let's continue. This person said, where did this myth that mixed children with black mothers are more in tune with blackness compared to white moms come from? This person said at the top, it's not a myth, it's basic sociology. Now, keep in mind, this entire debate was sparked off by Amber Rose, who has a white father herself. So I don't even know how we even ended up on this street. How did we get lost and end up on this back block? This started with Amber Rose, somebody with a white father. How did we end up? Let's continue. The person at the bottom said, please explain. And they went on to say, the mothers are the primary parent and they tend to pass down their cultural norms to their children. The initial viewpoints of children are formed by their mothers. The ability for a white mother to embed black culture is far more challenging than it is for a black mother. Now, here's the nuance of that, right? Because I've said things similar to that on my channel. That's why I tell y'all boys, you have to be conscious of the woman that you choose to be the mother of your children, because that's going to have a very massive effect on your lineage, your legacy, your bloodline. The woman you choose is going to have a major effect. Why do you think I have such an extensive knowledge and passion on the history and the identity of our people? Because a lot of that came from my mother, my grandmother planting those seeds. But the nuance to the debate is this, right? My mother and my grandmother had black husbands. So after they planted those seeds in my mind, I was able to observe the men in my family, my father, my uncle, my grandfather, my godfather, and I seen the excellent black men they were. So when you combine that, you get Neferkari Dessalines. That's what you get. You put that all in a blender, you get Neferkari Dessalines. But if my mother and my grandmother was trying to plant those seeds, but every day I had to look up to a white man every goddamn day, every day a white man is giving me structure and discipline and influencing my mentality, I would not have became Neferkari Dessalines. I would not have this YouTube channel. I would not have my extensive knowledge and pride of my ancestry. I would not. I would be a half white man, and my half white side would heavily influence my actions, my thoughts, my feelings, and my politics. And anybody trying to downplay the influence that a father has on a young boy, you're simply delusional. You're simply delusional, and you're allowing your fetish for white men to cloud your judgment, right? I know some of y'all women, y'all love the white man, but listen, you got to come back down to earth. You got to come back down to reality. There's no universe. There's no alternative dimension where a young boy is going to be raised by a white man and he's going to be in tune with his blackness compared to a black child being raised by a black man and his intelligent black mother, right? It's not the same. You not like us. They not like us. You know what I'm saying? What did Kendrick say? They not like us. You not like us. You know what I'm saying? You not like us. I'm sorry. So let's continue. This person said, there are far too many self-hating blacks for this logically to even be a thought. Now, exactly, right? They're talking about the biracial with the black mother is going to be, in tune with the blackness, in tune with their culture and history and ancestry and their, genealogy and all this nonsense, right? But you have fully, black on both sides, self-haters, people who are not in tune with their blackness, don't know nothing about their history, raised by their black mama and raised by their black grandmama and raised by their black family, don't know a goddamn thing about their history or their identity. But you gonna tell me you gonna sleep with a white man, you gonna get with a white man, and then you gonna come out and then your kid gonna be Malcolm X. Please stop. Your kid gonna be Khalid Muhammad. Please stop. Your kid gonna be Dessalines. Please stop. Please stop, man. Anyways, man, let's continue. This person said, it's true. Women instill the culture in the child, but a black woman with a white man is also running from blackness. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing did a comprehensive breakdown in the ISIS papers. This lady said, that's not true at all. Sometimes it's based simply on physical attraction. I'm so in love with black history and being black, and I instill that same pride in my half-white daughter. I immerse her in black history and culture. Oh my God, brother. We got another one of those Asada Shakur, Sojourner Truth, I'm blackity black on both sides, but I got a fetish for the white man. We got another one of these. Here we go. I love blackness. I love my black ancestors. I love it, but I'm with the white man. You see, brothers, this is the type of woman you gotta avoid. Like I tell y'all boys, if you're a black man, you love yourself, you love your ancestors, you love your forefathers, you love your foremothers, you have to avoid these type of women. They gonna come around you, they gonna say all the right things. Oh, I love our people. I got a passion for our people. I'll fight and die for our people. Oh, really? Oh, what's your thoughts as it relates to the black family? Do you believe that black women should be with black men and vice versa, things like that? Oh, well, love is love, love is love. I believe in going where I'm celebrated. I believe in going where the love is. Oh, okay. So do you believe that black men should be with black women? Absolutely. No exceptions. No exceptions. Yes. The black man should be with his black woman. Oh, okay. Do you feel that black women should be with a black man? Oh, like I said before, love is love. Black women should go, to wherever they could find love. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Listen, brothers, any woman with this thought process, don't entertain it. Don't try to interrogate it. Don't try to dissect it. Just pack up your shit and go, bro. Just pack up your bags and leave, bro. Don't even waste your time trying to understand the mindset. Just leave. When it comes to me, when I detect these conflicting ideologies, these conflicting spirits inside their mentality, I just assume they're probably on some antipsychotic medication, and I just leave. To me, that's automatic disqualification, And as a word of advice to my brothers, I advise y'all to operate in the same way. It's just certain things, certain things are just non-negotiable, bro. Certain things are non-negotiable. If you're a black man who loves yourself, loves your history, loves your ancestry, loves your people, loves your nation, you shouldn't be dealing with a woman who's not your equivalent, right? You should only be dealing with black women who also love their history, love their culture, love their ancestry, love their nation. And guess what? Those type of women, not a single white man on earth could ever say, yeah, I hit that. Yeah, I had that. There's no white man that could point and laugh at you and be like, oh, look at that black man over there. He, you know what I'm saying? He talking about he pro-black, but I smashed his girl. Like that would never happen. You know what I'm saying? That would never happen. So don't put yourself in that situation, man. Like, listen, certain things are just red card violations, man. Like a biracial child. Like what is it? 1746? Fuck out of here, bro. Let's continue. This person said, it's funny how this is about Amber Rose, who literally has a mixed race Cap Verdean mom. Most mixed race Cap Verdeans have white ancestry from white men and black ancestry from black women. This pairing that they're glorifying created Amber Rose and all the other racist Cap Verdeans. Now, like I mentioned before, anybody saying that somebody with a white father is gonna be in tune with their blackness, you're historically illiterate, right? We can point to all of Latin America. We can look at their genetic ancestry. On their father's side, their genetic ancestry, it probably traces back to some European settlers, right? On their mother's side, it probably traces back to some African women or some indigenous women. And you can see the anti-blackness that is steeped in those cultures. You got whole entire civilizations that were created by the progeny of white men and black women or indigenous women, right? And we can see how the black folks in those societies are marginalized and pushed to the side and denigrated and not respected. So how can anybody say that a black mother in combination with the white father is going to create some type of pseudo Malcolm X type figures? It doesn't happen because we have the evidence that proves to the contrary, right? One joke, this is a common joke. Y'all always talk about the Dominicans, the mentality that some Dominicans have. Well, guess what? The Dominican society was created by the offspring of white colonists and African women / indigenous Taino women or whatever like that. And guess what? We can see the anti-blackness just embedded all up and down that culture. And the same thing when you look everywhere you go. Whenever you have a foreign father in combination with a native mother, you notice that the offspring tend to have some type of animosity or straight up hatred for their mother's people. Why is that? I don't know why it is, but it's just a common phenomenon that is seen all around the world. When you go to the Afro-Arab states, we got a whole genocide happening in the Sudan because the mixed race offspring of the Arabs and the black women think they're Arabs. So they over here killing the black men and the black women in Sudan right now as we speak. We can go to Mauritania and the mixed race offspring of the Arabs and the black women, they over there enslaving other blacks. We can look at Latin America. We can look at the Dominican Republic. We can look at all the nations all up and down where you see that it was white men who race mixed with the African women or the indigenous women. And we can see the caste system that was created, the hierarchy that was created where the black folks were put at the bottom. It is what you go to Brazil, you go, oh man, go anywhere where it's a heavy mixed race population. And I guarantee their DNA traces back to white men and African women or indigenous women. And the anti-blackness in those societies is off the charts. It's bananas. It is bananas. Now let's continue. This person said they need an excuse to swirl. And I agree. I believe that's really at the root of this entire talking point. This entire like it's all propaganda anyway. But the root of it is, like I said, it's a sector of women who have a fetish for European men, and they're trying to pass it off as some type of like revolutionary behavior. Like, right, my kid's white father, we're gonna pass down the blackness and he's gonna have a white father. Like, sis, please stop. Just say you love white men. Like, it would be simpler if you just say you love white men. Stop trying to pass off this propaganda by saying you about to raise the next Dessalines with the white father. Like, nobody's listening to that bullshit, bro. Just say you love white men and go and just leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop with this propaganda, man. It's really pathetic. Let's continue. This person said, mothers are the single most influential person in a child's life. Everyone knows this. Now, I agree. But like I said, right, there's nuance to this discussion. A woman who had the capacity to transmit the culture down to her children and who had knowledge of self and had knowledge of her ancestry and had knowledge of her history, her kids wouldn't have a white father to begin with in the first place. Because due to the fact that she was so heavily connected to her foremothers and her forefathers, she would feel a feeling of condemnation every time she bent over or spread her legs for the adversary. Like I said before, like when you really in tune with your history and your culture, the ancestors be talking to you. The ancestors be communicating with you. That's part of our culture, if you want to be honest. That's part of our ancient African cultures, communicating with the ancestors. And when you communicate with the ancestors, they're going to tell you how they feel. They're going to tell you how they feel. And it's crazy because my last few videos, I was talking about the miseducation of our people. Our people are criminally miseducated, right? I spoke about that in my last 2 videos, and it manifests in different ways. So when you see these women talking about they're going to raise the next Malcolm X, they're going to raise the next Dessalines, they're going to raise the next, King Henry Christophe with their white husbands, just know they're suffering from a chronic case of severe miseducation. Right. And it's not even their fault. It's not even their fault they've been miseducated and misguided, but it's the reality. It's the reality. Right. Nobody who's really in tune with their so-called history and their identity would ever open their mouth talking about they about to give their kid a white father. That don't even make no goddamn sense. Let's continue. This person said, it is sociology that transcends black and white in America. Since your mother raises you, that culture is easily passed. It's why Jewish and Islamic men require the conversion of their women. Now, she kind of contradicted herself, right? Because they're trying to make the argument that the mother has the most influence over the upbringing of the child. But if the mother had the most influence and the mother had the final say, then why would she have to convert to the man's culture? I thought she was the most influential, so the man should convert to her culture. The man should assimilate to her culture. But she contradicted herself. In the first instance, she said the mother is passing down the culture, but then she said the men are requiring conversion. So who is really passing down the culture? Is it the men or is it the women? Let's continue. This person said the mothers are typically the ones doing all or at least most of their care, meaning they're more in tune with their mother's culture and behaviors and their way of thinking. Now, if you want my thoughts on the situation, this is what I believe. I believe the father has the final say. The father has the veto power. The father is the one that dictates the parameters for the culture, and the mother is the vessel used to transmit those traditions, cultures, and values down to that man's offspring. And usually, because these people are husband and wife, they typically have similar views. They have a lot in common, and they pretty much see the world in the same way, which is why they got married and started a family in the first place, right? So the woman that a man chooses to be the mother of his children typically already sees the world the way he does, or is willing to assimilate into his worldview because she admires him on that level. Because she loves him so much, she's willing to conform herself to be with him. Because he's such an amazing man, he's so high up in the sky that she wants to be a part of him, be a part of his world because he's that guy. That's the reality of the situation. This alternative reality where the woman is controlling the culture, it doesn't exist. The woman follows behind the man. The woman follows behind the man. I don't know if it's because a lot of people saying this grew up in single mother households where the man didn't have no say, didn't do nothing. But I grew up, I seen a black man get up every goddamn day and go to work and set the parameters for his household, and he ran shit. He ran shit and he handled business. So, I see the world a different way. So I couldn't imagine being raised by a white man. That'd be a whole tragedy, man. I'd be a whole damn goofy. Let's continue. This lady said, it's not a myth. Since women are usually the primary caretakers, children inherit the culture from their mothers, and that's across the board, regardless of race. Now, the crazy thing about this is this got almost 50,000 likes. That's why I told you this is a mentality that's very it's pretty accepted, right? They really believe that if a child has a white father, they're gonna be some type of Malcolm X type figure. I can't believe this got so many likes. Damn near 6,000 reposts, damn near 50,000 likes. What are we even? That's why I said before, a lot of us are criminally miseducated. We are historically illiterate. Given the historical references I gave you earlier, Latin America, the Afro-Arab societies, the Dominican Republic, Brazil, but somehow they really believe that a black mother with a foreign father is going to create some type of pro-black figure. It's really hilarious when history and evidence has shown us that it's the contrary. But anyway, let's continue. This person said, you can easily debunk this thinly veiled white worship propaganda historically, psychologically, statistically, and through various other fronts. The amount of likes this got is sickening. That's a fact. Let's continue. This person said, the lies some of you tell to support your right to swirl. I'm telling you, that's all it is, man. That's all it is. It's some type of creative way, creative way to maneuver the fact that deep down some of these women have a fetish for Europeans, right? They got a fetish for Europeans, and they trying to justify it by saying my kid is going to be the next Martin Delaney. My kid is going to be the next Nat Turner. My kid is going to be the next Denmark Vesey. Please stop. Your kid is he's going to be just like his white father. Okay. He's going to be like his white father who was raised by a white woman. That's the funny part, right? So they said that the child raised by the white woman is not going to be the same as the child raised by a black woman. Meanwhile, their white husband, their white boyfriend, their white baby daddy was raised by a white woman, and you love him. You love him. You love his dirty drawers. He was raised by a white woman, came out the pussy of a white woman, was given his values and his thought process by a white woman. You know, the white woman was changing his diapers. His white mama changing his diapers. But you love him. Get out of my face, please. All of y'all, get out of my face. Let's continue. This person said, if your wife is not willing to take your last name or preserve and assimilate into your cultural practices, then I have news for you, brother. That's a fact. That's what I said earlier. If you are really that guy, if a woman is really into you, if she really loves you, if she really admires you, if she really respects you, she is going to become the woman you want her to be. If she is not willing to become the woman you want her to be, she's simply not that into you, my brother. She's simply not that into you, my brother. She'll convert to your religion. She'll move across the country with you. She'll learn to make your favorite food. Listen, a woman is going to assimilate into the world of her man because she loves her man. She loves his dirty drawers. So for them to make this assumption and statement that, we're going to control the code. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're going to fall in love with that man and you're going to become what that man wants you to be. You're going to follow behind that man because he's your leader. He's your head. That's the fact of the matter. That's the fact of the matter. And if your woman does not feel that way for you, then you are simply not that guy, my brother. You're simply not that guy. But if you're really that guy, then you understand what I'm saying. Let's continue. This person said, it's funny because women are more likely to abandon their morals to be with the man that they like. If a man has a different set of morals to the girl he's with, she tends to lean to his side. You see this often with female liberals and male conservatives. Exactly what I just said. Let's continue. This person said, it's a myth because usually the father has the major influence in the household if he is moving correctly. Therefore, that is who the kids, especially the sons, would want to imitate. Brother, could you imagine the tragedy if your black mother gave you a white father? Now, I want to apologize. If you are a mixed race man with a white father listening to this video, no offense to you, my brother. But still, my brothers, could you imagine? Imagine having a white father. Imagine a white man yelling at you. God damn. I can't thank my mother enough for not only choosing a black man, but the caliber of black man that she chose. Like, you chose a highly intelligent, highly productive, highly industrious black man. Wow, I love my mother. She really is about that life. She really about that pro-black life. Y'all not about that life for real. Y'all not about that life. Y'all laying up with the Europeans talking about we pro-black, please. Anyways, let's continue. This person said, how are you preserving a culture when you married outside of the race? Let's continue. This person said, I'm a black male who grew up in a 2-parent household. Mothers are the nurturers, but children will take from both parents if they are present. Also, naturally, most boys will emulate their father and their daughters emulate their mothers. I get culture from both parents, but I get perspective from my dad mostly. And that's really the nuance of this debate. I believe also the women who say this, not only do I believe that they have a fetish for European men, but I also believe that they're only looking at it from the perspective of the daughter. Right? They're not looking at it from the perspective of the son. They're not even thinking about the son or the effects that it will have having to grow up. And the only model of manhood that you have, the only example you are given is a white man. How are you going to navigate the world as a so-called black man, with your example being a white man and your white grandfather and your white uncles and your white cousins and your white, you know what I mean? Bruh, please, it's just wow, wow. That sounds like a tragic situation. Anyway, let's continue. This person said, no culture does that bullshit. In every race but the black race, it is frowned upon for women to be in interracial relationships because everybody knows that the children produced from that will typically be adversaries to their mother's race. Now, like I mentioned before, you could look at Latin America. You could look at the Afro-Arab societies. You could even look at Cape Verde, where Amber Rose is from, where, like I said, in each one of those societies, the lineage traces back to European settlers and native women, right? And we can look at how those societies operate in the present day and the type of culture that was produced. It was a culture of anti-blackness. It was a culture that leaned into the patriarchal side. It leaned into the father side of the family. Because like I said, the woman is going to follow behind the man. The woman is never going to overpower the man when it comes to setting the regulations and the parameters of culture, because the culture was created by the man. All the so-called traditions and customs and dances and music and everything you love about the culture, it was created by the men of those cultures. When you look at Igbo culture, that was created by the Igbo man. When you look at Haitian culture, that was created by the Haitian man who took up arms and set the parameters for that culture. When you look at Yoruba culture, when you look at, Mandinka culture, when you look at all these different cultures around the world, Chinese culture, all of those cultures and customs and clothing and everything you see was created and upheld and defended and produced by the men. The men went to war to defend those cultures. The men went to war to establish those cultures. So what culture are you passing down? You could only pass down what the man produced. It's the man. It's like the seed, and the woman gives birth to the seed, right? The man comes with the seed, and the woman is the vessel through which the seed is transmitted and produced, right? But the man came with the seed. That's the same thing with culture. The man came and produced the culture out of thin air, and you, as the woman, you transmitted that culture down as a member of the tribe. That's what it was. That's what it was. You passed it down to that man's son, who went on to grow up and defend the culture. That's what the man creates, the culture. So what culture they talking about? They passing down the culture. You're passing down the black man's culture. So you're going to say you're going to marry the white man and pass down the black man's culture? You are confused. Baby girl, you are confused. Let's continue. This person said, I wonder why when women say this has been the case throughout all of time, they never mention the mulattoes who conspired against black men during the Haitian Revolution. Now, Now I spoke on that on my channel, endlessly, endlessly. I got endless videos on that. But that's a fact. Like I told you, though, we are criminally miseducated as a people. A lot of us don't even know those nuances. They think the Haitian Revolution was simply a battle between black versus white, but they don't know how there was a third belligerent during those battles, right? It was the black man versus the white man, but it was also the black man versus the white man versus the white man's son. Yeah, it was the black man versus the white man versus the white man's son. And this was not something that was unique to Haiti or the Haitian Revolution. Like I told you, we can look at the Dominican Republic. We can look at Cape Verde. We can look at any of these mixed race societies throughout Latin America, Costa Rica, Venezuela, Peru, Ecuador, all these random nations, Mexico, right? All of these nations have black populations, Argentina, all these nations have black populations, but they are pushed to the side. They're marginalized. They live on the fringes of society. They're underserved and underprivileged. They don't own the means of production. They don't control the economy. They're on the bottom rung of society. And when you look at who established these nations, these were the offspring of white men and native women or African women. So if we just study history, if we open a book for 5 seconds, we can easily stop repeating these narratives that show that we are miseducated as a people. We have no knowledge of self, no knowledge of history, no knowledge of our proper orientation that we should move in the world. Because if you had knowledge of self, you would understand that you are pushing inaccurate, historically not factual propaganda, right? The only difference in Haiti was that the black man refused to be marginalized by the white man and the white man's son. I mean, no offense to, the Dominican homies, but the black man in the Dominican Republic, he kind of just laid down and just, let the white man and the white man's son just run over him and just run the whole society. But the black man in Haiti, he was like, nigga, I'm not about to be marginalized by the white man and his mixed race son. Fuck out of here. I'm taking up arms, pussy. You know what I mean? But it was different. The black men in these other societies, in these other mixed race societies, they just laid down and got dominated. They just laid down and just, got their teeth kicked in. But the black man in Haiti was like, bro, I'm not about to be bullied by the white man and his mixed race offspring. We gonna fight to the death, bro. That's the only difference. But this hierarchy was established all over the world. Wherever the white man planted his flag, he created a mixed race population of people who leaned into their father's side, who embraced their father's European heritage. They didn't lean into their mother's African heritage or their indigenous heritage. No, that was secondary. The primary culture that was embraced was the European colonists. And they created those societies, and those cultures remain still to this day, and the anti-blackness is there for all to see. Anyways, let's continue. Take a look up on the screen at the top. This person said 30,000 biracials raised by white men and black women went against Haitians in their fight for independence from the French. And this lady responded and she said, can I see some type of study? Send the link. Now, this should just be common knowledge by any black person. But like I told you, we're so criminally miseducated that you have people who don't even know this in 2024. She responded and she said, It's not a study. It's a historical event. She said, can I see some type of study? What do you mean? Anyways, I had to come in at the top. Take a look up on the screen. At the top, I was like, here you go. And I gave her a link to the War of Knives because maybe she didn't know about it. I spoke about this so many times on my channel. It's kind of like redundant at this point, but the War of Knives was a civil war from June 1799 to July 1800 between the Haitian revolutionary Toussaint Louverture, a black ex-slave who controlled the north of Saint-Domingue, modern-day Haiti, and his adversary Andre Rigaud, a mixed-race person who controlled the south. Louverture and Rigaud fought over de facto control over the French colony. So, like I said, when the black man was taking up arms against the Frenchman, here comes the white man's son trying to kill the black man. You see the black man trying to fight for freedom, trying to fight for justice and equality, and here comes the white man's mixed race offspring trying to shoot the black man in the head. Now, all praise is due to our illustrious ancestors who took up arms and defended themselves. Let's just say them niggas got vanquished. Them boys got vanquished. Them boys got eliminated. And as we already know, a few years later, 1804, independence was declared. But unfortunately for us, 20 years later in 1825, the same mixed race offspring of the white man ended up paying reparations to their forefathers. Yes indeed. The mixed race descendants of the white man ended up paying reparations to their white fathers in France. That was really why Haiti paid reparations to France. I know they try to frame the narrative that Haiti was forced to pay. Haiti was not forced to pay. You don't gotta force somebody to, pay money to their father. Okay, if that's your father, you love him. That's your grandfather, you love him. That's your cousin, you love him. So obviously they were not forced to pay. Them boys got in power and they willingly paid. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. They never add that nuance to the discussion. Who paid reparations to France? It was the mixed race offspring of the Frenchmen themselves that paid their white fathers reparations. That's what it was. They paid their family members reparations. Why? Because they identified with their father's heritage. They felt bad for their father. They understood what their father lost during the revolution, and they had sympathy. They had a soft spot for their father because their father raised them in France. Their father taught them everything they knew. Their father was their only male influence and male figure in their life. So when their father was driven from the island in humiliation and despair and in ruins, they felt bad for their father. So they wanted their father to come back and resettle on the island. Come back, daddy. I'll pay you the money, daddy. Don't worry. I'm gonna help you out, daddy. I know you fucked up right now. I know you down bad right now, but I'm gonna help you because I love you. I'm your son. I love you. So that's what happened. That was the real story on how Haiti paid reparations to France. That's what it was. That's what it was, man. That's what it was. Because them boys identified with their father's heritage. Just like the mixed race Cap Verdean, just like the mixed race Dominican, just like the mixed race Latin American, just like the mixed race Sudanese, just like, some Somalis who identify with their Arab heritage. It is what it is, man. It is what it is, man. You look at North Africa, all them boys that identify with the Arab heritage, even though they got maternal ancestry coming from African women, but them boys identify with the Arab heritage on their father's side, man. It's not an accident. It's not a mistake, man. It's not a mistake. It's real life. Let's continue. Now, after I sent her the link to the War of Knives, she said, "Oh, Wikipedia?" I guess she didn't think that was a credible source. So I just told her straight up. Still to this day, black Haitians still have tension with the mixed race descendants of Frenchmen and African women. This rivalry has been extremely bloody and will most likely never end. The mixed race descendants also paid reparations to their French fathers in 1825. Then she went on to say, "I'm American, so I'm not aware of Haitian history. I was just talking about black Americans." You see, that's why we have to study everybody. We have to study world history, man. I don't just study Haitian history. I study black history all over the world. And I know there's a lot of similarities all over the world, right? You become more well-rounded and you understand the world around you when you understand the history of black people all across the globe, right? Not on one specific, location on a continent or a region or a hemisphere. You have to study the history of black men and women all over the world from the beginning of time. Then you'll understand the full picture of our reality. Right? She in 2024, she didn't even know nothing about that. She thought niggas was lying. Let's continue. That's why I say, man, we so miseducated. We so miseducated, bro. So miseducated. Let's continue. I went on to say, historically, mixed race men with foreign fathers have been a destabilizing force in black societies for thousands of years. Now, that's no offense to, if I got any brothers in the comment section, in the channel, in the subscriber base, if you got a white father, you got a, Arab father, you got a Chinese father, whatever, no offense to you, bro, but like, I can't be sparing your feelings. We got to talk real shit about history. I can't spare your feelings, bro. We got to tell it like it is, man. We got to tell it like it is. Y'all been a destabilizing force in black societies for a very long time. Because y'all identify and y'all embrace and y'all show love to your father's heritage, which is usually coming from it's usually a heritage that is anti-black, right? Anti-black, adversarial to the black man. So it is what it is. Some of y'all get overzealous and y'all start, waging war on behalf of your father's interests. That's what we've seen throughout history. Let's continue. This person said, a black woman with a white man is the last person you should get black lessons from. Oh, man. Let's continue. This person said, what's the point of procreating with white men then if your blackness is so precious and you're 100% sure your child will be in tune with it? That kid is literally one white relationship away from washing away your precious blackness. They went on to say, you take pride in carrying the black culture only to marry into a non-black culture and have to work 10 times harder to retain that speck of blackness your light, bright child has. The dumbest shit I ever heard. God damn. That boy went crazy. Let's continue. This person said, this entire narrative that black fathers can't hold a candle to the mother when it comes to raising a child is ridiculous. If black men are so insignificant, why does their removal from the family play the main role in our destruction? Mic drop. That boy went crazy. Let's continue. This person said, men create and defend culture. Women are to teach that culture to the children. But if women aren't teaching the culture in that fashion that the men have advised them to, then the women lose protection from those men. But what happens when an outside culture influences your women? What happens when an outside culture influences your women is you get women pushing and teaching a culture that the men do not agree with. Typically, those women lose protection from those men, but in this case, those women have gained protections from an outside culture. If you can control the children, you can control what type of people are produced within a culture. If you control what type of people are produced within a culture, you control the outcomes of that culture. If you control that culture's outcomes, you can dominate it. Now, I think that kind of goes back into the psychology behind the reason why when you look at these mixed race civilizations around the world, whether it be in Africa or, Latin America or whatever, you notice they tend to lean into their father's heritage, right? And they tend to have somewhat of an aversion or an outright hatred for their mother's side of the family. That's why you could look at some Somalis who have admixture and they're gonna say, I'm not black, I'm not a dirty Jareer Bantu. I'm an Arab, I'm from the Arabian Peninsula. My forefathers came from the Middle East. That's where that mentality comes from. And I just use the Somalis as an example, but I could use any other society where a group of foreign men were intermixing with the local women and produced a new population with admixture on both sides. I just use Somalia because it just happens to be in a strategic location on the continent of Africa near the Middle East. So obviously many societies and civilizations around the world, man, it manifests itself in different ways, but it all goes back to the same thing. Let's continue. This person said, the mothers in these relationships cannot even have an honest conversation with their biracial kids about the horrific things that white men have done to their people without lying or sugarcoating the truth. The entire relationship is an oxymoron in itself. You can't talk about slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, redlining, mass rape, lynchings that were happening during those times. The mother has to lie or sugarcoat the truth to prevent the kid from losing respect for her or leaning into their white side times 10. This is why the easiest way to destroy a people is to go through the women, because they are the most susceptible to manipulation. This is literally why Latin America exists and why they have a huge anti-black sentiment, despite having the same population as the United States. The Spanish and the Portuguese and the French encouraged their men to procreate with the indigenous and the black women to create a self-hating buffer class that looks like the local people but thinks like the father's people. We see the results today, and America is trying to replicate this. Go far back up in a lot of family trees and you will see it's only white men and their indigenous and their black grandmother. Never the opposite, but a black man, an indigenous man, and a white woman. I wonder why this was the dynamic the majority of the time and why this pattern was common during colonialism. Now, time out. That boy dropping fire, but these women don't be reading history. They be, Ain't no woman reading history gonna be bending over for the European. Get out of here. Let's continue. He went on to say, have you ever heard of the Blanqueamento or the Portuguese Lancados, the biracial slave traders whose black mothers were married to Portuguese slave traders? Why do you think in colonialism they forced the women to marry colonists? All you have to do is look at the Haitian Revolution and the role of the mulattoes during that time. That totally debunks everything just said. They all had black mothers. Majority of them were free, and majority of them hated their mother's people. Mic drop. Mic drop. And that boy went crazy. He went on to say, we have centuries worth of evidence that proves this is a flat out lie, and more importantly, it's projection. You get your whole ideological foundation by your father. You minimize the role the father has in raising kids, and we wonder why those that make these statements are historically illiterate. Listen, I don't gotta add no more commentary, man. I don't gotta say nothing else no more, man. It's your boy Nefakari, that's Salim back in the building. Yes, indeed. Cash App in the description. Support the album, man. Peace. God damn.
No. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traders, you know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wifey and hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word in this bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news. Back in my city they loving me. Standing alone I'm 100 deep. Enemy plotting and still in reach. They try to make sure that we underneath. Trying to make sure that we never make it. Coming for power, come get acquainted. Coming for everything that I wanted. Feeling like Drake but I really wrote it. Feeling like Kendrick, I'm checking names. Gotta roll up while I go insane. Got so much stress I been gained weight. Stuffing these racks in this Louis case. One thing for certain, I'm about to check. Keep it 100 and nothing less. Stick with the family since day one. Had to stay down till my day come. Had to stay down but I'm never patient. Hop on the mic and I'm motivated. Hop on the mic and I drop a classic. Haters can't see me, they copping glasses. Back in the studio making magic. Got a new tape and it's in production. Back on my business, I got a budget. Staying low key when I'm out in public. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traders, you know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wifey and hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word in this bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news.